Hello, my friends. My name is Eric. Welcome back to Carnage Reviews. Today's movie, well, you might want to put the kids to bed for this one. We're looking at David Cronenberg's Shivers, aka They Came From Within. So, before I tell you guys about the birds and the bees, just a quick reminder to please consider subscribing to the channel. Just click that subscribe button along with the bell icon to be notified when I upload new content. Shivers was directed by David Cronenberg. It stars Paul Hampton, Lynn Lowry, and Barbara Steele. Shivers takes place in a luxury apartment complex outside Montreal. We see a doctor murder a young woman named Annabelle. He cuts her open and pours acid into the wound. He then kills himself. The two bodies are found by resident doctor Roger St. Luc. After calling the police, Roger has a conversation with the doctor's medical partner, Rollo Linsky, who explains that they were working on creating a parasite that can take over the function of a human organ. Well, that all turns out to be BS, as Linsky finds out that Hobbs, the name of the doctor, was actually creating a parasite that, well, to put it bluntly, makes you horny as fuck.
Hobbes believed that man is an animal that thinks too much, an over-rational animal that's lost touch with its body and its instincts. How do you like that? In other words, too much brain and not enough guts.
Linsky tells Roger that Hobbs was using Annabelle as a test subject, and that the parasites got so out of control that he killed her. As it turns out, Annabelle was the town bicycle, and everyone got a ride. Roger tells Linsky that a few of his residents who had contact with Annabelle are displaying symptoms of the parasite and have lumps in their stomach. Linsky tells Roger they need to act quickly before the parasite gets out of control. However, it's too late. When I first heard about this movie, it was from a documentary about horror films. I really wish I could remember what that documentary was called because I would love to revisit it. Back then, this was a hard movie to find. Now it's streaming on Tubi for free and maybe even on Amazon Prime. I know you can get the Blu-ray copies of it on Amazon and pretty much anywhere, I think, at least anywhere that sells movies. But back then, when I was 18 or 17 years old, I had no such luck. Back then, if I was lucky, sometimes I could see these movies that I wanted to see on IFC. Back when IFC was cool, you could see Maniac, Martin, I think, played on there one time. I don't think Shivers ever did, but maybe it did. I can't really remember, honestly. But you could find a lot of obscure horror films on there, a lot of indie horror films. This was when IFC was good. Now, IFC just sucks. I know it's still uncut, but ever since they went mainstream, it's just not the same anymore. Anyway, several years later, after I had first heard about this movie, I was looking around at a horror convention, and lo and behold, I saw a copy of Shivers. The very copy I am holding in my hand, so of course, I snagged it right away. Eventually, I will upgrade and get the Blu-ray copy of this movie, which I assume probably has better picture quality and sound, but I really do like the cover of this, and even though the DVD is kind of bare bones, there's just a trailer and interview with David Cronenberg, I just like this copy of it. And now that I'm looking at it, the case is kind of flimsy too. It's just this kind of cardboard, maybe not cardboard, maybe like cardstock cover here that's separating this from the DVD. So I'm actually surprised this hasn't gotten damaged when I was moving. That's lucky. But and also there's a lot of there's a whole like blurb here about the making of the movie, and it's rather informative. So yeah, I think it's a pretty cool copy, and I'm gonna keep it. And I'm assuming it's probably out of stock by now. I don't think you can get this anywhere. And look, there's the price I paid for it, $40 which back then I would assume was probably 2008 maybe. That probably is a lot of money for a movie. Now I bet you, if you were to find this today, probably be like $100, if not more, probably on eBay. The working title of this movie was Orgy of the Blood Parasite, which is a badass title. I think it's way better than Shivers, and it's better than They Came From Within. But I will say They Came From Within makes more sense than the title Shivers, which I really don't understand what Shivers, as far as the context of what the movie's about, has to do with the movie. When watching this movie today, it's not as extreme as other movies that came after it, but it's still very effective. It has this very taboo feeling to it. There's a scene where this mother and daughter are on an elevator, and this man who's infected with a parasite comes in and attacks them. And you don't really see the attack, but you know what's going to happen. And the girl is very young, as you can see in this clip. So that makes it even more disturbing. I forgot how fucking creepy this movie is, too. So there's a scene with that man that attacked the girl and her mother in the elevator. Before he's infected, he's in the apartment complex with a food cart. He's delivering a food cart. And this woman opens her apartment door and she just starts screaming, "I'm hungry for love. I'm hungry for love." And then she attacks him. And just the way she looks and her expressions is just so fucking creepy to me.
I'm hungry. I'm hungry for love. I'm hungry for love.
Night of the Living Dead appears to be a big influence for Cronenberg with this movie because, well, you have the isolated area, you have the feeling of dread and chaos, and, well, even the infected act like zombies. They're just more self aware, and, well, they're not dead. Shivers isn't super gory, but given the subject matter, there is a lot of sexualized violence. I wonder if the director of The Sadness was influenced by this movie at all. Given the age of this movie and the fact that it was low budget, the effects don't always look the best. In fact, sometimes the parasite, and this is the only way I can describe this, sometimes it looks like a piece of poop. But you know what? That can be easily overlooked because the movie itself is very well made. And you know, there is a scene where these kids are playing in a hallway and they see the parasite slither out of this mailbox slot, and that actually looked pretty good. Shivers also has some very well written dialogue.
Roger, I had a very disturbing dream last night. In this dream, I found myself making love to a strange man. Only I'm having trouble, you see, because he's old and dying. And he smells bad, and I find him repulsive. But then he tells me that everything is erotic, that everything is sexual. You know what I mean?
I feel like out of all the films in David Cronenberg's filmography, this movie gets overlooked the most. Sure, he went on to make a lot of great films that are far superior to Shivers. But Shivers is a good example of the themes and subject matter he would continue to explore in his other films. If you like body horror films, or if this is the one David Cronenberg movie you haven't seen yet, I highly recommend Shivers. Even after all these years, it still packs one heck of a punch. It will make you uncomfortable, but it's a horror movie, so that's what it's supposed to do. I give Shivers 5 skulls. Have you seen Shivers? Would you actually like to see it get remade? What are some of your favorite David Cronenberg movies? Let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed today's video, smash that like button, please. Well, that's it for me today, my friends. Remember, if your next door neighbor suddenly wants to have sex with you, chances are she's infected with a parasite. Take care, guys.